Rewatched all of it. I kind of rewatched some of it, so because I am back at work. So
What's going on, everyone? Thank you all for joining us. Let's start with Jason so he can finish
and
his.
and we're recording, and I didn't know it. Disclaimer: got a job, and rewatched some of it. Of course, I've seen it like 3 times already, so I'm good to go.
All right. Roy,
How you
let us
doing?
let
Just
us know what's going on with you.
not much. Just got off work and ready to talk some Star Trek stuff. This is how I relax at the end of the day and not think about that place and think about what's going on in the future, which is, the 21st, 24th, 25th century, wherever we're at now these days.
You relax at the home of the Enterprise. Is that what it is?
That's right. I'm in the new old Enterprise, or the old new Enterprise, however you want to look at it.
This
Because
show is
this
the
is
24th, right? But season
yeah,
4 is like, what is season 4? The 34th,
yeah,
30,
32nd.
33rd, 32nd.
33rd.
I don't know.
33rd century, South 34th. I don't know.
Whatever.
They're way out there. They
Not
just did
certain.
they just did that to escape all the canon loopholes, pitfalls. I know it.
We shall see. We shall see. You know what? Let's get started. We did a lot there. Let's get started.
All right, yeah, you start that thing so I can have a big swig of this.
What's up, Trekkies? It's your boy Wil Wofford here with Trekker's Delight, a Star Trek-inspired podcast. Before we get started, we're going to give away $100, so make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel where we will announce the lucky winner every single week. Now, welcome to Trekker's Delight.
You know what, y'all? Before I run the review, it reminded me that it's been a while since I kind of like reminded people why we do Section 31. So at a certain point, Section 31, this show is going to run its course. But in preparation for the actual show that's going to come out, what we wanted to do was we wanted to do a deep dive into Section 31 so that we could explore what Section 31 is / was, so that when the show actually comes out, we're fully prepared. We understand what's happening, and we're ready to go. So with that, let's review Project Daedalus, Daedalus Project. I inverted it.
Project Daedalus.
Project Daedalus. There we go. Admiral Cornwell boards Discovery and wants to see Spock. Pike is cautioning her about Section 31, and she admonishes him by saying, "You have no idea what I know." Pike makes Burnham help Spock figure out who the Red Angel is. Cornwell questions Spock. Cornwell then admits the admirals of Section 31 have not responded to her in weeks. She also admits that control helps them make decisions, but in the wrong hands, it can cause lots of damage. They set course for Section 31 headquarters. Ariam begins to crack a code, but control takes over her again. Discovery gets to Section 31 headquarters to find it is surrounded by mines. Burnham engages Spock in a game of logic to uncover the motivations of the Red Angel. Ariam, fearing the worst, asks Tilly not to leave her side. Security Officer Nan is very suspicious of her. To get close to Section 31 headquarters, Discovery has to lower its shields. Spock intentionally tries to disrupt the game of logic they're playing in an effort to get Michael to understand she cannot control situations instead of facing her grief. Some minds have been directed towards Discovery. Remembering the game with Spock, Burnham encourages the crew to be chaotic in its choices to beat the minds, and it works. Once through, Admiral Patar hails Discovery. She announces Starfleet ordered Section 31 to attack and announces they are fugitives. The crew learns Control has taken over and the admirals are really dead. They also learn Control has taken over Arium and she must need something. Arium and Burnham fight. Pike orders her to kill Arium, but Burnham is unwilling to do so. At the last minute, Commander Nhan releases Arium into space, stopping Control from containing all the information on artificial intelligence. So, y'all, before we start talking about Section 31, I guess what I want to do is I wanted us to quickly talk about the episode itself. How did you enjoy the episode?
I thought it was good.
I thought it was.
Go ahead, Roy.
I just thought it was sad we lost Arium. This is the one where she goes.
I thought it was sad. It was sad we lost Arium, but it was more sad because they didn't put any focus on her. They put focus on her for the simple purpose of getting rid of her. You know what I mean? The whole time you wanting to know a little bit more about her, they're like, "Oh yeah, let's tell you more about her before we kill her off the show." So I thought that kind of was the downside of the episode. I agree with you.
She was a cool character, you know. I mean, as much as I like Data on the Next Generation, in a way, she was sort of like that for me. Even though she was, you know, inherently human, you know, I thought it was really, she was a really cool character, and it was sad that they had to bump her off. So whatever.
I mean, it makes you wonder why they didn't make more of them later on, but you know.
Yeah.
I think because of this episode, I think that's part of the reason why they didn't make more of them. You know what I'm saying? No, like I totally get you, Jason. So I'm someone who like I love character development, especially from your B characters, and she was a B character. And I just felt like, oh, okay, you know, at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, okay, clearly something is going to happen to her. Not necessarily this episode. You know, they're just kind of, you know, trying to make us feel something about her. And then, you know, I'm talking about when I originally watched it. And then when they killed her in that episode, I was like shocked. Like, are you serious? Like, you're gonna pack all of this into one episode? You couldn't have built this over, I don't know, 3-4 episodes.
Well, it kind of begs a question about Star Trek and like artificial intelligence, and like obviously in TNG they wanted to have an artificial intelligent main character, right? But they didn't continue that with DS9, and they didn't continue it with, I guess it was after Voyager. I'm wondering why they felt not to, you know, or do they just feel like they never really wanted an artificial intelligence character. They just wanted a Spock character. You got to have one of those in every show,
right?
But it seems like a natural evolution of, you know, our technology. I don't know. That's just a question I have. Anyway, back to the show. So at this point, Control has control, right? That's what we're dealing with here. That's the real deal. So where's this control coming from? Is it internally inside? Is it where is this turn of control coming from?
So Control has always been part of Starfleet.
Yeah.
And it just, I guess it was starting to get close to its own level of sentience, and was realizing, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like we could bump it up a level, and so they were trying to get their hands on that information, which would have made it sentient. And so that led us down that particular path.
It would have been nice if they somehow showed the POV of control somehow of like its evolution into like why it's doing what it's doing. Besides, oh, it's a crazy AI. That's what they do, son. That's what they do. Like to show us, what made it. Like sometimes, if you ever watched Space Odyssey 2001 and Hal went crazy, but there's a reason why Hal went crazy because he had to lie. You know what I mean? He had to lie to the crew. And that was kind of the main reason why Hal went crazy. He never really knew what to do with that and why, but that was his orders. And in the end, he sings Daisy till he dies. But so it'd be nice for them to let us know this is why control is going awry.
You know what? The last time I saw that movie, I was in college. So we talking. This is the 1990s. The last time I saw it, so I barely remember that movie.
Well, I mean, it's a good movie. You know what's really good about that movie is to watch space in silence.
And it was definitely silent. I had to watch it about 10 times
right.
to get through it.
J.J. Abrams said they thought about the idea of doing Star Trek and then the movie and doing silent space. And he said the audience would find it uninteresting, and they, they did what everybody does. They make us hear everything. But in Stanley Kubrick's, it like really actually draws you in the silence of space when you just see the spaceship just moving and nothing else.
Yeah. Roy, you know what? I'm interested. Roy, is this your first time on Section 31?
It is, actually.
It is? So good. So this is a great opportunity for us to talk about. So this is a departure from TOS, right? Section 31. The whole advent of it is a departure. And so as a longtime Star Trek fan, how do you feel about Section 31?
So Section 31 basically took place before TOS, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Was there any ever mention of it, hint of it in the original series?
Not at all.
At all?
Not at all.
No. I have my own story arc about Section 31, but basically Section 31 is a clause that was used in the original charter of the drafting of Starfleet. A Starfleet of the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Article 14, Section 31, maybe. Somebody's got to check me on the article.
So are they like an internal affairs kind of thing for Starfleet or what?
No, not internal affairs. It's more like a CIA, like a covert operations type thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about them.
Well, it said, I forget exactly what does it say, Jermaine? It says that, I don't know if it's in times of war or times of whatever, that they can make this separate entity to cross the lines of what the Federation principles are to achieve their goals. And it's a legal Federation entity that can be formed in case of emergencies or anything like that. But I feel like once it was formed, it's just something that stayed there for a while and was used in different ways. And its power sort of grew. You see it in Enterprise as behind alleys and it's in the depths. It's dark. By the time we get to Discovery, it's everywhere. It's well known. Everybody knows it, who they are. It's like everybody knows. Oh, that's the CIA. Oh, that's the KGB over there. If you're Russian, but
yeah.
But are you still doing this in sequence?
Yeah, we are. So just to read what you said, you were really close. Starfleet Charter, Article 14, Section 31. The article, according to agents, allow for extraordinary measures to be taken in times of extreme threat. Such measures included malicious sabotage of enemy installations and technology, biological warfare, and preemptive assassination.
Right.
So, going back to my original question, Roy. So, how do you feel? When TOS, right? So we had IDIC. That was like our understanding of Star Trek, and then all of a sudden now you have Section 31. How does that make you feel? Understanding that this now exists within Star Trek.
Well, technically, Roy, it's kind of like the Romulan in a way, kind of like the Romulan Tal Shiar or the uh, who's the other dude, the Obsidian Order for
Right.
the Cardassians in a way, but not
Yeah.
as bad.
Well, I think what concerns me is that whole preemptive assassination thing. So does that mean they go back in time and kill somebody before they, it's like killing Lee Harvey Oswald or something before he had a chance to kill JFK, that kind of thing, or what?
If they had the power, I don't think it's ever been documented they've ever had that power.
I kind of think they do, but I'm gonna leave that alone. But also in Discovery, we saw that what's her name? I forget names. But from the Mirror Universe, she came and she killed
Jojo?
she killed a Klingon.
Jojo.
Because
Yeah, Jojo.
basically because basically the Klingon was
Jojo.
was trying to become a chancellor of of the Klingons, whatever. And so that was them using their powers.
Right.
It's sort of a get it done
Yeah,
agency. Because
yeah.
Starfleet has all of its principles, and they need to have a small pocket of getting around certain principles to achieve their goals. But it just kind of grew too big. And then
Yep.
it falls into the darkness where, I mean, I don't know if I want to talk about this because we haven't reached these episodes yet in the series, right? Do I not want to talk about this?
Nah, we have. However, I mean, we can talk about it philosophically. So, for instance, so it says allow for extraordinary measures to be taken in times of extreme threat. So, how do you define extreme threat? What is an extreme threat?
Some people can just
Like control. Like control, right? Control is an extreme threat.
It is. But if we were to define it, I mean, would we all agree? Like
control is an
Roy's.
extreme threat now, but not always. Control's actually always been there as well. It's an AI that's been in Star Trek for. They haven't always presented it, but if you read the Star Trek lore, it's always been there, helping to make decisions about outcomes.
And they've always
Right.
mentioned it, even in TOS. They've mentioned control.
Really.
I thought when I watched it, control to me was a person or a group of people. I didn't think of it as an AI. So I think we just, it was one of those things where we heard it, but it was like, nah, they're talking about people. Couldn't be artificial intelligence.
Right. Interesting.
Okay, so into the episode we go. So for me, as I was watching it, so I'm always looking for, okay, what is it that Section 31 is doing? And in this particular episode, it was kind of hard to differentiate. Well, it wasn't hard to differentiate between Section 31 and Control. However, it lets you know that should Section 31 decide to use these things, it's available to them. So the use of artificial intelligence in the way in which they had by taking over Arium, an attack on another Starfleet vessel without being provoked. They had space mines. Even in the episode, they were like, "What, space mines? This is not who and what Starfleet is."
Right.
Also, the use of double agents. We kind of sort of got a hint of that from Deep Space Nine, but in this particular episode, it's front and center, and there's no other way that you can look at it. The murdering of Starfleet officers. There were lots of officers that were murdered. Destroying a space station, or even to take it another step, destroying a Starfleet vessel.
Wait, who was the double agent? Tyler?
No, No, Arium was a double agent.
Okay, but not
Well,
really by
I
choice. She wasn't
thought it
No,
really
was
not
just
double
by
agent.
because
choice. Not
Okay,
by
well, she got
choice, but
well,
hacked.
she was
yeah,
hacked.
she got hacked. But it lets you know that this is something that Section 31 is willing to do.
So, well, here's a question. Uh, Control becomes a problem. Do you think control became a problem because it felt like it was running on Section 31's criteria and not on the Federation or Starfleet's criteria for how things should be done? I mean, do you think that it was going on Section 31 policies is what's made it, just turn really bad? Whereas if there's no Section 31, control itself would have been just benevolent.
Um,
Benevolent.
I do think that Section 30. Okay, I think Section 31 was always going to be sketchy, but I think having control involved in the way in which it had. So remember, even Admiral Cornwell, I think it was, she said, we've come to rely on control so much so that they stopped second guessing control, right? And
Right.
so once you stop second guessing control, then you're just letting control drive. You're just you're in the back seat, right? You're chilling, you're talking,
Yeah,
you're drinking. And that's exactly what happened.
they had full autonomy, so they just ran with it.
And then one last thing, so we also learned that Section 31 doesn't mind altering people's minds.
Right.
Because even though Arium is, part artificial intelligence, she's also still human.
But they were going to do that with Spock too,
Exactly.
but a couple of episodes ago.
Exactly. So that lets you know like the bad side of Section 31. But it also lets you know what Section 31 is able to do on the flip side, on the good, right?
What's the good?
Jason's
I'm,
like
Serve, right? Protect and serve.
I mean,
a nice general way of saying it. No, okay, so if they're gonna use double agents, that means that hey, they're probably talking to people in the Klingon Empire, or well, it depends on which time period, the Romulan Empire, or whatever, to work for us, right?
I don't see. First of all, I don't see most Klingons being double agents. I think that would not
Mm,
be an honorable thing.
it depends on how the situation is approached.
Name a Klingon that you've seen that you think would be a double agent. Like you mean a
Um,
Okay.
double agent within the Klingon Empire?
correct.
Right.
So, for instance, well, I'm not saying that these are people who have been double agents, but I think that these people are susceptible. This was an Enterprise episode where a guy, I think, reluctantly realized, "Hey, look, this disease, this is adversely affecting the Klingons. I I have a way of helping us, or I could use this to hurt someone else, and I prefer to help the Klingons because what my superiors are telling me to do is to hurt others. I don't want to hurt others. I
Was that
prefer
Uncle
to help
Phil?
us."
Was that
Huh?
Uncle Phil? Was that Uncle
Yeah,
Phil?
yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I forgot his
What
name, but I
about
know it's Uncle Phil.
what about that dude in the Trouble with Tribbles? It was a Tribble that determined, hey, this guy's actually a Klingon because the Tribbles don't like Klingons.
Oh
Remember
well,
that?
right, true, but he wasn't. But he was
He was
still
working for Starfleet.
working for the Klingon Empire. I'm saying, would a Klingon that would actually go against the Klingon Empire as a double agent?
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
dude,
we've seen
the
examples
flip
of
side.
this. We've seen
Yeah.
examples of this. I mean, Worf.
Worf was never a double agent. Worf walked the line.
Well, there
You see
were
that
times
Johnny
where
Cash
he
song?
where you know, they what was it? He he lost his place in the family, and they kind of like excommunicated him from the Klingon Empire. But what he did was he actually helped the Klingon Empire.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But he wouldn't become like a double agent and lie to them for Starfleet. Worf would never do that.
He didn't really have. Well, okay, so
That's what a double agent does. A double agent is just a complete liar.
it is. I get you, but
My girl
I
calls me
think
a
there are
double
other
agent all the
ways.
time.
I think there are other ways of doing it, right? I think you don't necessarily have to quote unquote lie. Double agents sometimes often just send information.
Yeah.
Well, lying is also making someone assume that you're loyal, but you're not.
Well,
That's lying.
Roy, don't they often ask people in the military? I'm not going to say often. Maybe I shouldn't say often, but don't they periodically ask people in the military, have you been in contact with some foreign actor or whatever? And if you say no, but you know you have, aren't you lying?
Yes, of course. And they do ask you that every year. Every few years, you have to do your security clearance background check, and they ask you, were you in contact with foreign nationals, or do you have business dealings with foreign, entities and stuff like that. And if you lie about that on your thing, it's actually worse for you if you're lying than if you tell the truth and say, yeah, I've got some property over in, wherever,
Well, at least if you tell
Russia.
the truth, they know how to work with you.
Right, but if you're lying, if you're lying, then you're done.
Make you a triple agent?
Yeah, if you're caught lying, you're done.
You're not obligated to tell them the truth, are you?
Just don't get caught.
So, okay. So all the people on the Section 31 space station were killed by Control, right?
Correct.
I mean, what was Section 31 doing at the time? Right before that, they were trying to get Spock, right?
Correct.
Were they doing something that Section 31 did not like? I'm trying to recall.
No, they had just reached a point. So
The Control didn't like.
I think personally, I think Control had just reached a point where it was like, okay, we no longer need you. We can kill you. We can create these holographs, and we can get whatever we need done without you even being present.
Again, it would have been nice to see that from Control's perspective, right? I mean, but maybe it's like like Darth Maul, where he just comes in, attacks, and kills, and he doesn't say why he's there. He doesn't say nothing. No talking. No, you're doomed now, player. Nothing.
Well, you know what? I want you to think about it like this. So what we've learned is that Section 31 often, so this is something that we learned in the past. We learned that Section 31 often has access to technology before the rest of the Federation, before the rest of Starfleet. For example, holograms, right? So we learned that holograms actually existed all the way back, during TOS, prior to TOS, right? Now, we didn't know that it existed until TNG, which happened some years later, right? And as a result, I feel this is a personal feeling. I feel that that Section 31 has access to some apparatus that gives them not control over, but enables them to go back and forward in time.
You think who has access to that?
Section 31. Section 31.
I don't think they have.
To be more broad.
I think they were seeking that. But I don't think they actually have it.
This is what I think.
Because maybe we'll see it for the show, but that would make for an interesting war between the time cops of Voyager and Section 31 later.
And who's to say that they're not one and the same, or like a part of a division of Section 31?
That's speculation.
It is, but I Honestly, that's exactly what I think that Section 31 has access to time manipulation.
Okay.
Far-fetched, I get it.
Well,
or they can be getting technology from other races, other civilizations. I mean, other planets. You know, they don't care about.
Before, and like going back in time is not a difficult thing in Star Trek. There's like a million ways to go back in time. One day I'm gonna write them all out.
And if you're Section 31, and if you look at that charter, if you look at what their purpose is, that falls in line with that falls in line with their mission.
They can break all the rules,
right?
So it's very convenient. That's why we can have all this newer technology in a show that's supposed to be dated prior to TOS. You know.
So, right. So that's what I was saying about Control. Was that you think he got that Control got that philosophy of breaking rules from Section 31? Is that's where that was learned?
Okay. I got it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
And if there
Whatever
was
it
never a
takes,
Section
right?
31, or if at least it didn't like evolve to the state it was in, would Control ever have even done anything bad? You know what I mean?
Right.
Interesting.
Because Control right now is not even under any Starfleet or Section 31 agenda, right? It now just has its self agenda for itself.
Correct.
To grow, to learn, you know, it's gonna get out there and fight V'ger one day, maybe. Round one, fight.
Back to V'ger.
I always wondered about V'ger because maybe somebody read it. It's like you can't even read the side of your own thing. Like, why are you calling yourself V'ger anyway? Yeah, I guess that's my question about Control. Is its agenda, but I guess its agenda is now it's about self. Because if you just learn that you can just break rules for an agenda, eventually, and you have power, eventually all rules can be broken for self, because self is primary, instinctively for everyone, unless you have children.
Agree.
Which I don't. So self.
Well, you got a girlfriend, so I mean, hopefully you're thinking about her as well.
Not just kids.
She doesn't watch these. She doesn't watch these.
At all.
All right. Before we get anybody into any more trouble, I think we've got to go on that point. See you all. Thank you all for watching.
How's it go again?
Now again, I'm going to say this again because we're near the end of our show. If you are our allies, we are not talking to you. We are not talking to you. This does not... Pop. Okay? We're not talking to you. Stop trying to take our and make it your god business. It ain't got nothing to do with you. It ain't got nothing to do with you.
Our experience of grief independently.
Bruh.
Yes.
I love that they're in the comments.
So much is like, I'm just reading the comments.
Yeah. They should brought their child out. Such a good point, Will. God, that's such a good point. And he's really thought about it too. You should be here. Will, get over here.
I thought he had a girlfriend on Insta. It's been ages since I've mucked about, but.
Okay, moving on. Let's move on.
Yeah, we gotta move on.